You need to find 5 interesting objects that are around your room right now or somewhere in your house. 5 of them. Quick! 5 things! And a pen! And a piece of paper! Quick! 5 things! 5! Ah! How'd you go? Hopefully you've got your 5 things. I've got mine right here. Number 1, piece of pasta. Number 2, a ball of string. Number 3, Meihua, class mascot. Looking as beautiful as ever. I've got a screwdriver, one with a little cross on the end. Gold star, if you know what they're called. And I've got a hat, given to me many years ago by the legendary Hat Man. True story. Right, so what are we going to do to make some interesting sentences? Writing good sentences requires a bit of a good grammatical understanding. You need to know what a noun is and what a verb is to start with, because all sentences have a subject and a verb. So let's just start by looking at some of those things. Let's dash over here for a little bit. Right, here we are. I've got my page set up, and I know that my brain works very well in sort of little chunks. And so I've broken my sentences up into those little chunks, and I've identified what I'm going to have in each of those little sections. And what goes in there doesn't really matter for now, because later on I can just manipulate it to whatever end I want. But let's just start by putting the things we've got into these little boxes. So I've got nouns. A noun and a verb is what I really need. So I'm going to put those in now. All right, so there you go. I've got all my nouns in now. What I do need to know is what those things are doing. In fact, before I even do that, I'm going to describe those things. And describing words are adjectives. Okay? And I've got 2 in front of the noun. And if I have 2 adjectives in front of a noun, I'll need to separate them with a comma, because it's kind of like a list of adjectives, even though there's only 2 of them. And in that case, I will have made an expanded noun phrase, something that I know many of your teachers will have harped on at you about. So I'm going to put in 2 adjectives to describe my objects now. If you're following along, you might like to do the same. Okay, so what I've got now are potentially some expanded noun phrases. I'm going to have an adjective, a comma, another adjective, and my noun, now my thing. Let's just click back and have a little look. So what have I got? The elegant, beautiful Meihua. Elegant, beautiful. I don't really like beautiful. It's a bit of a lame word, so I'm going to change that right now because it's a bit too common. I'm going to go with radiant. Could use a dictionary if you've got words that you think are a little bit underwhelming. But let's go with radiant. So I've got the elegant radiant Meihua, a long blue-handled screwdriver. I've got a compound adjective there with a hyphen to join those 2 adjectives. Dried curly pasta, tight mega long ball of string, and a large green hat. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and think about what those things could be doing in some interesting sentences. Meihua could be sitting, the screwdriver could be waiting, the ball of string could be winding. I'm going to think about that and put some interesting verbs into my work now. Let's do it. All right, I'm done. How did you go? I've just done it really quite quickly, put in thought of 2 or 3 things, but put in the best one that I could think of within about 5 seconds. And I got some fairly good almost sentences now. Let's just go back and check them out. I'm going to start from the bottom. The large green hat sat. That's all right. Tight mega long ball of string wound. Wound's quite a nice word. Dried curly pasta yelped. I like that one. giving it a bit of a human emotion, personifying it. Long blue-handled screwdriver twisted, an elegant radiant Meihua pounced. So they're almost sentences. There are a few things missing, but I could almost just use that. I'm going to push it a little bit because I always harp on to my students about adverbs and prepositional phrases. If you know what they are, you can add them too, or you can skip forward a little bit of this video to go to the actual sentence writing part. So I'm going to add some adverbs to start with. An adverb is describing how the action is being done. Often they end in ly, adverbs, but not always, so you've got to be careful. I'm going to add mine in now. Alright, so I've added my adverbs in now. And so that will sort of bring to life more some of the sentences if you're looking for something that's a little bit longer, because it's good to vary up your sentence structures as well. Another thing that I've done, especially with the first two, I've used some alliteration as well. Having the adverb possessing the same sound, the same phoneme as the verb. So in the first instance, pounced playfully, they both have a p sound. That creates some alliteration as well, which evokes some sort of response from your reader as well. So what I'm going to do now to push all of those sentences even further, and a way that you can impress your teachers as well by creating longer sentence structures, is putting a prepositional phrase in your sentences as well. And all that is saying where that action is being done. So a preposition is kind of the position of something relative to something else. On, under, below, above. You get the idea. I'm going to add mine in now. Alright, so I've got all of those little elements planned out now. I've got my noun and my verb, which all sentences need. I've got 2 spaces for adjectives, which are going to help me to create expanded noun phrases. I've got my adverbs and I've got my prepositional phrases as well. And I could just go straight along those lines and create sentences. Or what I could do is choose to move around those elements, because I know what punctuation I'm going to have to use if certain things go at the start. Let's have a play around so you can see what I mean. So I'm just going to go straight in and go across the line at the top to create my first sort of long sentence. And I'm going to have to use some little determiners at the start of my sentences as well. So let's have a look. The elegant radiant Meihua pounced playfully on the butterfly. A nice little sentence, a nice long sentence. It's got an expanded noun phrase, it's got a pretty powerful verb, pounced, it's got an adverb, playfully, and because it's got pounced playfully, it's also got alliteration, and I've got a prepositional phrase in there. Pretty good. Let's try the second one now. I'm going to do exactly the same thing and see what happens. So what have we got? Long blue-handled screwdriver. I'm going to use, I used that last time, so I'm going to go for up this time. Long, comma, blue-handled screwdriver, expanded noun phrase, twisted, nice, triumphantly, twisted triumphantly, I like that. Good alliteration, powerful verb, great adverb as well. A long blue-handled screwdriver twisted triumphantly against the broken screw. Full stop. I think that sentence is even better. A long blue-handled screwdriver twisted triumphantly against the broken screw. Bam! Number 3 now. Let me just move my face out of the way here. Put it up there, there's a little bit of space. Okay, so number 3, I'm going to sort of start showing how I can manipulate this a little bit now, because we don't just want the same structure for all of our sentences. If we're writing a paragraph and we do that, our reader is going to get bored. So as well as sort of chopping things off and making shorter, punchier sentences, you can also change the structure like this. For number 3, I'm going to take this adverb and put it at the start of my sentence. So helplessly, comma, is going to go at the start. I'm putting the adverb at the start, and then I'm going to put all the rest in a nice long line. So helplessly, the dried curly pasta yelped in the boiling water. Full stop. Let's just check that to see if it makes sense. Helplessly, the dried curly pasta yelped in the boiling water. I've got all of the elements, I've just swapped them around. But I know if I start with an adverb or an adverbial phrase, I'm going to need a comma to partition it to make sure the main clause has a definite starting point. All right, so let's just try that with the next one as well. So number 4, I'm going to take that adverb. It's a great word to start with as well. Viciously. Viciously, the tight... Oh, I've forgotten something. Not good. Viciously, the tight... What was it? Mega long ball of string. What did it do? Wound around. Ah, that's nice. Now I get wound around. That was completely coincidental, but cool. Wound around the... I could put an adjective in front of balloon. How was the balloon feeling, maybe? Around the suffocating balloon's neck. Oh, suffocating balloon's neck. I've spelled balloons wrong, I think. I missed an O. Let's go back and put it in. No, that's a P. That's an O. Viciously, the tight, mega-long ball of string wound around the suffocating balloon's neck. Oh, these are getting better. Bam! What else could I possibly do here? We could take this prepositional phrase and put it at the start of a sentence. On top of the old man's head, comma, a large green hat sat proudly. Or we could take the adverb at the start and the prepositional phrase at the start as well and move both of them to the start. Proudly, comma, on top of the man's head, comma, a large green hat sat. I think I'm going to do that one now that I've thought it out loud. So I'm going to start with an adverb again, even though I've started with an adverb the last 2 times as well. Proudly, that I'm moving the prepositional phrase as well on top of the old man's apostrophe, because the head belongs to the old man's head. Proudly, on top of the old man's head, a large green hat sat. Proudly, on top of the old man's head, a large green hat sat. How have your sentences gone? Hopefully pretty well. If you have a list of your objects, your nouns, if you have a list of verbs, things that those nouns could be doing, come up with some random adjectives. They can be completely random if you want, and you don't have to think about them. Then try and develop some adverbs. How is the action going to be done? Think of where the action is going to be done and generate some prepositional phrases. And then either simply go along the lines and write down your sentences, adapting them where you need to, Or if you feel the motivation to, you're feeling a little bit creative, try moving things around and putting them in different places, and you'll end up with some good sentences too. Once again, thanks for joining me here in Macland today. Keep learning, keep reading, keep being creative, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye!
Click on the banner to subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on the bell to receive notifications of when new videos are posted.